Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to our online class. And now we are going to discuss about the properties of non-metals. Previous class we have discussed about the properties of metals, and now we will go in detail about the properties of non-metals. Non-metals, physical as well as chemical properties we are going to discuss now, and we are going to compare the properties of metals and non-metals. Non-metals, if you take, they are less in number compared to the metals in the periodic table, because metals play a very important role in our day-to-day life, because it has a major role to be played. Okay, so that non-metals are very less in number and they have very less consumption in our day-to-day life, and they play important role in our day-to-day life, like how we use the appliances. For example, plastics, they are non-metals only. Even phosphorus, sulfur, okay, in some ways we are using these non-metals in our day-to-day life as appliances and also things, the material which we are using. And the most abundant non-metal in the earth crust is oxygen, which is considered to be the supporter of life. Without oxygen, no any organisms can survive in the world. Okay, so oxygen is a very important non-metal which helps the organisms to live. And the second most abundant non-metal is silicon on the earth crust. Okay, it is nothing but the sand which is available. With the help of the silicon only, many of the materials are produced, like example glass, okay, which is made by silicon, right? Definition, if you check the definition of non-metals, the elements which form negative ions by gaining or accepting the electrons. For example, non-metals, already I told you children, they are electronegative elements. So, as they are electronegative in nature, okay, they have the tendency to gain electrons. So, as they gain electrons, they form the negatively charged ions, and the negatively charged ions are called as anions. Okay, anions will carry negative charge. For example, let us take iodine. For example, iodine, actually the symbol of iodine can be written as I, right? When it is in the form of anion, the symbol carried by, that means the sign carried by iodine is minus, negative charge, because iodine is a non-metal which has a tendency to gain electron, and where it will gain electron from where? From the metals. Actually metals will be losing the electron. Now iodine, as it is electronegative in nature, it has a tendency to gain electron from the metals and thereby forms anions. Okay, same way carbon, actually it is an exceptional element because it cannot form anion or cation, which is considered to be the stable element. That we will learn in the next lesson. A very interesting topic about carbon we will learn in the next lesson. Sulfur, even sulfur is also a non-metal which contains actually 16 electrons will be there. By gaining 2 electrons, it can attain the octet structure. So, as it is gaining 2 electrons, it will be having the negatively charged ion of S2 minus, which means 2 electrons are going to gain by the sulfur, element sulfur. Okay, and then phosphorus, already there are 15 electrons are there. So, 15 can be distributed as what? 2, 8 and 5. Okay, there are 5 electrons already there in the outermost shell. So, how many electrons it has to gain? 3 more electrons should be gained by phosphorus to form an anion. Okay. So, this is how non-metals will gain electrons and form negatively charged ions. And what is the reason of gaining tendency of these non-metals? Because they have maximum number of electrons. If you take phosphorus, 5 electrons are there already in the outermost shell. Instead of losing those 5 electrons, it can gain 3 electrons very easily to form anion. Likewise, sulfur, 16 electrons are there which can be distributed as 2, 8 and 6. So there are 6 electrons are there in the outermost shell. So only 2 more electrons it has to gain to get the octet, because what is octet actually? The outermost shell should contain 8 electrons. So by gaining 2 electrons, the outermost shell will attain the octet structure, right? And carbon, iodine, if you take iodine, same way, 1 more electron it has to gain. Only 1 electron, gaining 1 electron, it will be attaining octet structures. That's why we are writing the symbol of iodine as I minus, because that minus meant for what? 1 electron. If there are 2 electrons have to be gained by the element, then it has to be specified by 2 minus. And phosphorus should gain 3 electrons, so we can write it as P3 minus. Okay, it shows that how many electrons it has to gain. So with the number of electrons with a negative symbol, it will be representing the element. That means it is a non-metal. By seeing this, we can say that it is a non-metal. Okay. So this is how non-metals can form anions by gaining electrons. Now physical properties. Let us go in detail about the physical properties of non-metals. When you check the properties of non-metals, it will be just opposite to the properties of metals. What are the properties we have discussed, children? Do you remember that? Yes. Metals are malleable, they have the ductile tendency, and also they are sonorous. That means what? It can produce the ringing sound, okay, deep ringing sound, and they are hard and tough. Non-metals are normally soft. Okay, let us go in detail about the properties of non-metals. If you take the properties of non-metals, specifically the physical properties, okay, they are brittle. What does mean by brittle? They can be broken into pieces, right? They can be broken into pieces. But metals are more malleable, isn't it? That's why when it is hammered, what happened? We can make them as a thin sheet, and also we can draw wires from them. But non-metals, as they are soft, and also they will not be having the malleable tendency, so they are brittle. So whenever it is beaten, it will be broken into pieces. Okay? Non-lustrous, which means what? Lustrous means shining tendency. Metals will be having the shining surface, but non-metals will not be having the shining surface, right? And sonorous, ringing sound will not be produced because they don't have the hard surfaces, and they are not so tough also, so that they will not be producing ringing sound. They are specifically soft. Most of the non-metals are possessing soft nature. And low densities, because as I said, metals actually the atoms are compactly packed. Okay, due to the compact packing of the atoms, they will be having high energy, and also they have strong metallic bonding. The force of attraction will be more. So they require high amount of energy to break the bond. So they possess low density, okay, due to the compact nature of the atoms and the metal-metal bonding in case of metals. But here non-metals, as the atoms are loosely packed and also they have some space in between, they possess low density. And because of the low force of attraction, that means the force of attraction between the atoms will be less. So they possess low melting and low boiling points. And normally non-metals are poor conductors of heat and electricity. Metals have free electrons, free ions are produced by metals, but in case of non-metals, the free ions will not be available, so that they show the poor conductance capacity only towards the heat and electricity. So these are some of the physical properties in common we have discussed about the non-metals. Next, non-metals are brittle. How are they brittle? It is nothing but the word brittle refers as easily breakable. That means, I told you already children, it can be broken into smaller pieces when it is hammered or when it is beaten with other articles. Non-metals cannot be beaten with a hammer, because what happened? When it is hammered, it will be broken into pieces. and form thin sheets and cannot be stretched to form thin sheets, which means that what? They are non-malleable and non-ductile. Non-malleable and non-ductile. Okay. So, due to the malleable nature only, metals can be made into thin sheets, but what happened here? When we hammer the non-metals like metals, it will be broken into smaller pieces. Instead, we will not be getting the thin sheets of non-metals. Okay. And non-ductile, wires cannot be drawn from the non-metals. Like metals, we cannot draw wire from this non-metals. Characteristic property of brittleness is applicable only to solid non-metals. Because already we have discussed about the metals, as most of the metals will be in solid state under room temperature, and some exceptionals are there. Mercury, okay, which is in liquid state, which is called as a liquid metal, will be asked in 1 mark, children, please make a note of it. Okay, and some of the metals will be in the liquid state, some may be converted into gaseous phase from the liquid state. But non-metals, most of them, like metals only, most of the non-metals will be in solid state and they will not go for liquid or gaseous non-metals. That means the brittleness capacity will be applicable only for this solid state non-metals and it will not be applicable for liquid or gaseous non-metals. And non-lustrous. Lustrous means what? Shiny appearance on the surface. Non-metals do not have that luster, which means that they do not have the shining surface. And solid non-metals such as sulfur and phosphorus do not have the shining surface. Actually, they are soft non-metals only, but they do not have shining surface. If you check sulfur, which is yellow color powder. Okay, yellow in color. Here you could see sulfur powder, which is yellow in color, right? And phosphorus, if you check, it is somewhat reddish brown in color. And iodine, of course, it is dark violet, purple in color. Okay, iodine is also a non-metal having the lustrous, so it is an exception. Will be asked in 1 mark, children. Name the non-metal which has the lustrous nature. So, you can write the answer as iodine. Please make a note of it. Only a non-metal which has the lustrous tendency is iodine. Okay, having the luster, that means shiny appearance. When you look at the crystals of iodine, it may be available in liquid state also. If it is in the crystalline form, definitely it will have some glittering surface, okay, shiny nature, right? And the other properties of non-metals, if you check. Soft. Non-metals are generally soft in nature. So, as they are soft, they can be easily cut with knife, right? As they are soft, they can be easily cut with knife. Example, sulfur and phosphorus. Okay, sulfur and phosphorus, like sodium and potassium metals, we used to cut in knife, right? So, same way here also sulfur and phosphorus are also available in solid state. That means what? A bulky solid. So, they can be cut using knife. Carbon is one of the non-metal which is available in the form of allotropes. Okay, allotropes. What is mean by allotropes? They are nothing but compounds made of the same element. So, the allotropes of carbon is made of only carbon, not with the other elements. Okay. So, what are the allotropes of carbon? There are 3 allotropes of carbon we have. One is diamond, graphite and Buckminster fullerene. Okay, these 3 are the allotropes of carbon. Among these 3 allotropes, actually diamond is one of the allotrope of carbon which is the hardest substance. Okay, non-metal. Normally what did we learn? Non-metals are soft, but only non-metal which is in the form of allotrope of carbon, that is diamond, which shows the hard nature. Okay. So, this also will be a 1 mark question, children. So, please make a note of it. And the next property, if you check, conductance capacity of non-metals. So, we know that like metals, non-metals will not be having the conduction capacity. Actually, they are the poor conductors of heat and electricity, because non-metals do not have free electrons like metals. Metals have free electrons, but these non-metals actually they are compactly packed, so that the free electrons will not be available, so that they are not able to conduct electricity as well as heat. Actually, for thermal conductance is nothing but heat, okay, thermal conductance. And electrical conductance, they need free electrons. So, as the free electrons are not available, non-metals cannot conduct heat as well as electricity. Carbon, which is a non-metal, there is an exception. Already we have discussed about the 3 allotropes, isn't it? Diamond, graphite and Buckminster fullerene. One of the allotrope of carbon, that is graphite, will be able to conduct electricity, okay, as well as heat, right. So, graphite is one of the allotrope of carbon, which is a non-metal, which has the exceptional capacity compared to the other non-metals, which is nothing but conduction capacity. So, graphite can act as a good conductor. Okay, good conductor of heat and electricity. So, why is it able to conduct electricity and heat? Because the structure of graphite shows it has free electrons. Okay. So, if you check the structure of graphite, actually one carbon atom is bonded with 3 more carbon atoms, so that 1 electron is free here. Okay. So, the free electrons will help graphite to conduct electricity. So, you will be learning the structure in detail in next lesson, children, in carbon and its compounds. So, now you just know the concept graphite is a good conductor because of its structure. The structure shows that there is a free electron in graphite, and that free electrons will help graphite to conduct electricity. Okay. And the other properties, if you check, heat and electricity, conductors of heat and electricity. Then metals are sonorous in nature, but non-metals are non-sonorous, which means what? They do not produce a ringing sound. Okay. So, the word non-sonorous is also applicable for the non-metals which are available in solid state. Okay. Because in solid state only we used to beat the metals or non-metals using other articles, right. When it is beaten, if sound is produced, ringing sound is produced, that is a metal. If the ringing sound is not produced, instead it is getting broken down into pieces, then it is a non-metal. Okay. So, that means non-sonorous, which means they cannot produce a ringing sound. And non-metals do not produce sound when hit by an object because of what? Soft nature, right. And here we have some examples. Sulfur powder, okay, if it is like a block, if you try to break it, that means if you try to hit it, it will be broken down into pieces and become fine powder. And the next one is they have low melting and low boiling point. Because when we take the metals, metals have the strong force of attraction between the atoms, right. So, they need more amount of energy to break the bond. But here non-metals, they have low melting and low boiling point, because the force of attraction between the atoms will be very less. As the force of attraction is less, they can be easily broken, and then the force require very less amount of energy to get break up. So, most of the non-metals have low melting and low boiling point. For example, if you take sulfur, has the melting point 115 degrees Celsius. Just 115 degrees Celsius is the melting point of sulfur, which means that it need not require large amount of energy to get converted into liquid state from the solid state. With the range of temperature 115 degrees Celsius, sulfur will be converted into liquid state. Diamond is an exception because we know that it is a hard substance, isn't it? So, it cannot be brought into molten state. Okay, it is the exception and it possesses a very high melting and boiling point. Very high melting and boiling point it possesses. Okay. And non-metals at room temperature, how do they exist in room temperature? If you check, most of the non-metals are solid in state under room temperature. Okay. So, if you keep the bottles open, that means of the non-metals, for example, if you have sulfur powder and phosphorus in laboratory, if you keep it open for a long time also, they exist as solid state only. There will be no change in their physical nature. And there are non-metals which are liquids and gases also at room temperature. Okay. See, examples we have here: solids, carbon, sulfur, phosphorus, they exist in solid state, and liquid, only bromine is existing in liquid. So, will be asked in 1 mark, children, make a note of it. A non-metal which can exist in liquid state means you can write the answer as bromine, and in gaseous state we have oxygen, hydrogen and nitrogen. Okay, are you clear with the examples now? Right. So, let us discuss about the other physical and chemical properties of non-metals in next class. Thank you.